So, and we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another LinkedIn Live episode. This one's a little bit different than what we normally do. I have my friend JC here, and we're doing this one in person. So this is a pretty cool change up than normal. So welcome, JC. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's very, very last minute change up of plans. If you were anticipating Austin coming on the show, he will be here probably in June sometime. So I want to introduce JC real quick because he is the guy to know. You can tell him coming from a mile away because of how awesome his mustache is. So it's always perfect. JC Clunan, right?
That's right.
Okay. So he is a visual storyteller and founder of LifeMarks Media LLC, a creative studio specializing in photography and videography, as well as being my creative partner with our content. So he's got a keen eye for detail and passion for capturing authentic moments for businesses. JC has built a reputation for delivering compelling visual narratives that resonate with audiences, which is going to be important to talk about today. His approach combines technical proficiency with the intuitive understanding of storytelling, resulting in visuals that are both aesthetically pleasing and emotionally impactful. His dedication to his work, business, and his clients makes him a respected figure in the media production industry. And that is, I think, a pretty good summary of JC. It's very professional, very wordy. Do you think I nailed it there?
I think Chad Chappetto did a great job there.
He did. Absolutely. Calling me out. It's true.
No, that's really humbling. Wow. That was weird to hear back at me.
Really?
But hey, thank you so much for that.
You're
wonderful
welcome.
Introduction.
You're welcome.
No.
It's true. So one of the things, yes, ChatGPT helped me write that description.
I knew it.
Yep. Have to, right? Whenever you're writing descriptions all the time, you gotta use your resources when you can.
Have some help, you know.
Again, goes back to authentic content. You want to make sure that the content that you're posting on your social media is authentically written, and if you're using that for help change things up, add the human element to it. This one, I'm telling you, JC had about a 2-hour heads up that we're going to do this today. So we got it together. I will be the first to admit that I definitely use that. So
hey, rock and roll.
Yeah. So one thing that we talked about whenever I was looking through your LinkedIn and I used ChatGPT to bounce some ideas off for what we were going to talk about today, because we want to balance the creative side with the business side, because photography, videography, all the stuff that you do is very creative. And then a lot of what our clients are doing, it's very business focused and they don't really understand our world. So I was trying to find way that we could marry these two conversations for this chat today. And one thing that really stood out to me was we've talked about it before, but your mindset when creating content. It's not just about what looks pretty. It's about what is going to perform well when it's being used for the client. So how do you approach whenever you are getting a client, you are going to work on a job site, or you're going to go take some content? Are you having consult meetings with these clients to figure out what they're going to use content for? Or can you just kind of walk me through the process of just like what a client would see on their end when working with you?
100%. So I'm still pretty new at this whole new business thing and learning how to do that. But as far as I've come to learn is that if I'm not already being white labeled by another company, then it behooves everyone involved to make sure that we optimize for trust. And so what that means is I need to make sure that when a client comes up to me, they've probably been referred, or they've probably had some sort of thing where they saw my work in the past and were like, ooh, I would like that for my thing. That's great. But we need to have that conversation. We need to have that baseline to make sure that there's full understanding of what's to be expected. So for example, one client had this thing. She was owner of a hair salon, and she wanted to have photos done for her salonists, of cosmetic folk, her employees, right? Yeah. And every year they have this retreat, and then they want to get like a group photo and make sure that they have headshots that she will go out and print and then put in little golden frames above their workstation. So she already had a vision. She already had something like, this is what I already do. I just wanted someone who could do it gooder or do it better, right? And so that's where I come in. So then I have to sit down and I have to have a consult, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
or a phone call or whatever that might look like. And then we sit down and we talk about expectations. Okay. So first off, there's the deliverable aspect. There is, okay, what exactly are you getting?
Mm-hmm.
What is it at the end of the day, whenever all the dust settles, what am I getting? Right. So for her, it was a gallery of X number of photos. Definitely want the big group photo for social, and then the other photos that we can use for testimonials and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Once that's understood, then we talk about aesthetics, because art is very subjective, right? What one person likes may not be the same as what another person likes. And so, yeah, and that's kind of the hard thing, is to try to boil down into words and understanding what kind of style or what kind of editing or what kind of creative freedom do we want to give this person. So what helps me is I like to tell my clients to, hey, get on Pinterest, right? You're already swiping. You're already on all sorts of social media. You already have an idea in your head of what you want it to look like. You just have a hard time articulating it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what art is. It's hard to articulate that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So in order to prevent that, we like to make what in the industry we call mood board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so by finding photos that already kind of fit that vision, we're putting it all into one place. And this is not difficult to do. You can use Canva, or you can use, it can even be just, you don't even have to put it on a board. You can just like screenshot on your phone whenever you see something you like, and then send all those to me at the same time. That way I can get a visual. I can see like, okay, you like that it was not super hyper realistic, or you like that it was more dreamy looking, right? And they may not be able to say that. They'll hear it and they'll be like, yes, that's what I want. You'll have that moment, right? Yep. So that's the big thing. And just making sure that of course, they're leaning on you for this understanding. They're leaning on you for this expertise, because you know what you're doing, or at least I pretend to know what I'm doing, right? And by taking, they're trusting you with that creativity. So they want what's the idea in their head, and then they want you to turn it up to 11 with your creativity. And that's kind of how my process goes.
So from the business side of things, whenever you're thinking about that, that could look like a company goes and they research their competitors and they say, my competitor made XYZ content on their website, or they have this video that they posted that did really well, or I saw this ad from them, and they could almost come up with examples, get the links, screenshots, and send that over to you and bring that in a consult and be like, hey, how can we make something like this work for our brand based on what we already have going?
The more information that a company or an individual can bring to me at the consult will make the process that much smoother, so that there's more of an understanding between the two parties, and there's less like, oh, I'm surprised this isn't what we discussed. This wasn't what we agreed on, because we might have two different ideas going on in our head.
Absolutely. And so at this point in the conversation, we're talking about people that have already had a good idea that they know they need this. They know that they need some content for the business. They know that they need photos or videos or headshots or whatever the case may be. But for the majority of people, they have been riding with the same headshots from the original team, from, maybe they got these headshots 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they just have been sticking with them. And so I would like to try and talk about today why bad visuals are actually costing you business, because I think that's something that people don't really understand. They say, well, I have a website. I know it could be better. I have somewhat of a LinkedIn page created for my company, but we're not active on it. Or we do share occasional like job site photos or team photos, but we're really not on top of it as much as we need to be. So do you have a good way to explain to people how that could actually hurt a company and their social selling, right? Just having bad content.
I mean, I would just say like, hey, would you not swipe up on this immediately if it came on your feed? Like you have to put the mirror up to them, because look, the attention economy is brutal, right? And we're on this thing all the time. I'm swiping. And if you don't have my attention in the first milliseconds, right? I mean, I grew up with like the TikTok stuff, right? So like, if you don't have that, then nobody cares. And honestly, if you don't care, why should we care if you don't care? You have to find a way to make people care. And of course, there's always going to be those folks who are going to, it's just brain rot at that point, right? Like they're just going to be swiping. That's not your customer base. At least I hope not, right? But your customers do care about one, the service or product that you're providing. And so we have to give them a reason to buy in. We have to find a way to separate their money from their wallets. And that's very easy to do. Not easy to do, I shouldn't say it that way. That is very accomplishable, right? Like we can accomplish these things through better visuals, through stuff like engaging storytelling, right? Like getting people a reason to buy in, at least mentally, right? And that may not even translate to dollars right away. So I'll give you an example. I'm working for a company now, and they do roofs.
Okay.
And so they've been doing it for 20 plus years. They survived the 2008 housing crash. Like they're killing it. They're your mom and pop, but like turned up to 11, and they're awesome, right?
Okay.
They know they're awesome. They know they give a good product. They know they have a good community standing, a good environment for their workers, but they need to increase their sales, right? And so how do we do that? We do that through storytelling, through video, through social media, through photos, to get people invested, and to more importantly, get their name into people's heads, even if they're not buying right away. Like, so 18 months from when we put a post, right? We want that post to be so, whether it's through humor, whether it's through storytelling, so that 18 months later, when it's like, oh, now I do need a roof. Like I didn't need a roof right away, but 18 months now I do need a roof. Who's the first name that pops into your head? Because we made that impression, because people remember the way that they feel about things. If we were able to do that back then now it's like, okay, now I'm going to call the funny commercial guy. Now I'm going to call the fun. It's just the same reason why Lowell the Hammer Stanley works so well, or like Auto Connection with that guy with the dancing dog, Mac. I'm doing like really local references. So sorry to anybody who's not around here. Those are commercials that, like, when you end up in an accident, when you need a car, you're like, oh, okay, that's the first person that comes to my head because those commercials were so effective. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing. We just want to make a good impression. As far as bad visuals go, again, we can do better, right? Yeah. Like yeah. If it's the same stuff over and over again, or you're not improving, like just be honest with yourself and be like, man, I could be doing so much more. Yes, it's an investment. Yeah, it's going to cost you more. But if you trust someone, right? Like we're optimizing for trust here. Yeah. And over time, that's going to create a better value. That's going to be the investment for your company. And that's what we want to be doing.
Well, especially if they're investing, you've got a marketing director, you've got a marketing team, you're outsourcing your LinkedIn marketing, like with a company like us, and you are delegating that, but you're not giving them any types of content to work off of, except, we can do all the research that we can, especially as a contracted company. But if you don't have content, then you're just cycling the same stuff, which could be good, could be bad, depending on how you do it. But having fresh new ideas, the attention economy, that's what you said, that really made me, that was kind of like an aha moment.
It's brutal.
It's true. If you're going to invest all of those dollars in marketing, you need the social media marketing, you need the website marketing. If you don't want to be another statistic of somebody that is investing in stuff and not seeing a return, you need to figure out how can you capitalize on this attention economy that is so hard to capture somebody's attention. And how are you going to do that? Best way to do it is through good content, not from something that happened 3 years ago that you finished. There's time and place for that type of content. But
can I interrupt you real quick?
Go for it.
So there's another company that is paying me to do stuff for their social media. And so I'm glad that the folks who are the decision makers, like there's the CEO guy who I talk to, but then there's also these smaller folks who I'm actually directly working with. Now, I had this idea that, or at least I saw something that I thought would work well for them, where we have a drone kind of do like a one take where it's like flying into a building and like showing off this cool stuff and everything. I'm not saying what the product is, but just imagine it flying through one take, not even 30 second. And then you've got a whole tour of the facility, right? Yeah. Sounds cool, like in your head, right? The CEO guy walks in and he's like, oh, tell me what you're working on. And so we explain that to him and he goes, I don't get it. And it's like, I'm like, you don't get it? And he's like, why would anybody want to spend their time watching that? And I'm like, brother, man, like, have you been on the internet? Like, there's so much stupider stuff that like people really resonate with. Like, not saying that that's a bad thing, but this is like some technical idea that we're bringing to the forefront that's going to separate you from your competitors. And your only response is like, I don't get it. Here's the thing, guys, is that for some of us are better at being the CEO business type, right? The numbers business contracts, right? And then some of us are better at being the creative types, the folks that are making the new stuff that people want to get excited about. That it's okay to not get the creative. It's okay to not understand, because here's the thing, it's probably not for you at the end of the day. So if you're going to look at it and be like, well, I wanted to say this and this, and then let the creative folks do their thing, right? Because and then if the numbers don't add back up, then all right, try with someone else. But sometimes you got to get out of your own way with that kind of stuff. And that's what I wanted to bring up with that.
Well, now we're going to get into the hot takes, because I think that now we've talked about that superficial level shit. So now we're going to dive a little bit deeper. I know this is LinkedIn. I know that there's people want educational content on here. So this is where we're going to get educational, and it might be a little bit dicey. Some people might disagree, but I full-heartedly agree with what you're saying. I can see the perspective from a creator as well as a business owner, somebody that's trying to run a business, but somebody that's also trying to create content. And whenever you are an owner, especially if you're a smaller business owner, you have your hand in a lot of different tasks. And when you hire something out, you really want to give that full trust to the person you are hiring things out to. Because if you do not, if you still hold on to that little bit of control when it comes to your videography or your content creation, your headshots, whatever the case may be, just your advertising in general, if you put limitations on what the creators can do, their whole vision can be twisted, and they might not be able to fully do their job to the best of their ability, which would impact your ROI. So the best piece of advice that I have is, if you're going to invest in something like this, you got to let the creator do their job, because this is their job. You're hiring it out for a reason. Let them have it.
It goes back to trust, because that's how I optimize. If I get any kind of inkling that I'll give you another example. Okay. I'm Anecdote City here.
Love it.
A gentleman was like, hey, I need a photo for my business. I was like, oh, okay. What is your business? It's like, okay, I do extermination, that kind of thing. Okay, awesome. Let's get a photo of you in front of do you have a brick and mortar building, or maybe you have a truck with like some advertising on it, that kind of thing. He's like, I don't want to do that. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe we try doing some employees like at the job, like doing the thing, and get some photos like that. And then he's like, not feeling it. I'm like, okay, we can go like really robust with it and get maybe something creative where like you're on top of, or someone is on top of like a skyscraper or something, and do something outlandish, because that's kind of where his thing was kind of pushing me. And so then all of a sudden he's like, no, I don't like that either. And I said, okay, man, so like, what is your vision then? Let me know what your vision is. And he's like, I don't have one. I thought you would do that for me. And so I'm like, this concludes our negotiation, because I can't trust you and you can't trust me. So there's nothing I can do for you. You have to be, and here's the thing too, this is not to say to give blind trust to anyone. Like, definitely vet the creatives that you're looking to hire. Look at their past work, see if what they've done can be retrofitted to kind of sell your product, or to sell your message, or to share your story about your business or your personal brand, and figure out like, okay, I like this guy's work and I want to work with him, and I think I can just kind of give him the prompt and let him go. Limitations are okay as well, I will say. You don't want to just let someone go roughshod with your stuff, because they might be a little too ambitious with their ideas, right? I once worked with a person who was trying to work with a clothing brand. Sorry, I'm like taking a moment.
No, this is good.
Someone with a clothing brand was trying to do stuff with tennis, right? Like, it was trying to be like a tennis brand stuff. And so they wanted to be like, okay, we're going to have the models with like the athletes, and they're going to walk up naked, and we're going to censor them. And then they're going to like try to play tennis, but they suck because they're naked. And then they're going to wear the product, they would put the product on. And then they're like much better at tennis as a result of putting on the product and not being naked anymore. And I'm like, okay, that checks a lot of boxes, but also that was not the type of brand that idea would have worked for maybe another brand that was like more adventurous and more like, oh man, we want to push the boundaries on what's okay to post and that kind of thing. But that was, they were more of a holistic kind of like for lack of a better term, like conservative, like brand. And so like, as a result of that, they were like, oh, we don't want to do that. And so then that guy got upset, because he was like, oh, you rejected my idea, which means you reject me. And there wasn't that trust that was laid as the foundation, and so that suffered as a result.
Wow.
Yeah, so it comes down to trust, really.
It comes down to trust. And I mean, at this other point of that, you got to do your homework, like you were saying. You got to know who you're hiring, so that you're able to trust them. If you're going to hire somebody that has a specialty in, let's say, doing photography for, what's it, airplanes, cars, that kind of photography, you're probably not going to want to hire them for your consulting firm. I mean, different styles. So do your homework.
And then understand also the price, because the price, I think as a society, we've gotten really used to the convenience of phones and how good the quality of a phone can be, and the convenience of how quickly and easy it is to take photo and video. And so then that make folks think like, oh, photography is easy, or videography is very easy. And in some ways it can be. However, to come up to someone and then them give you a quote, and then maybe it's a little higher than you expected, but I mean, the economy is crashing. We got tariffs and stuff, and things are expensive, and people got to live. They got a strong urge to eat 3 times a day. So things can get expensive. The equipment is expensive. Now you get that number back, and you're just like, what are you doing? You're just pressing a button. Like my 13-year-old nephew can do this, and so to that I would say like, okay, well then, I think as business people, we all understand that you get what you pay for, and then you also get what you don't pay for. So it's kind of a thing where like you have to leverage like, okay, is this representing my brand to the quality that I want it to? And if it isn't, then I need to reevaluate what I value most. Yeah. So I would say there's nothing wrong with like trying to get a deal. There's nothing wrong with trying to like, get the best bang for your buck. But I think if you value the way that your brand or your company or your product looks and how it's conveyed to other people, I think that's going to, return dividends in the long run.
Absolutely. And I wrote down on here, well, I typed out, but your iPhone isn't the problem. It's the strategy.
Sure.
And that's exactly what you were talking about is, so if people get it, they know, okay, JC, yes, I'm convinced. Like, I understand the value of all this. I understand that I have to do it. I understand it's good for my company to have good marketing, and I don't want to be involved because I'm the numbers guy. My marketing team handles that. I give them money. Great. So they understand that. So if they're not seeing results, they're doing everything that they think they should be. It boils down to strategy. And that's what we see a lot of times is people just don't know what types of content to get that can help their brand, can build that trust with their audience. How is a roofing company going to showcase their impact other than here's a picture of a roof? Here's a drone footage of a roof. How do you translate that for, let's use the example of
Sure. My strategy is storytelling.
Okay.
Because people remember how they feel about a certain thing. They may not remember exactly all the details, because I certainly don't, but I do remember how I feel about a certain thing. So let's talk about it. We got a roofing company, and we're trying to convey like, hey, not only do they do the best job, yeah, they might be the pricier option, but the reason they're the pricier option is because they care. They care about the quality of the work that they're doing. They do not take shortcuts. They are super upfront about everything that they do. And then also they follow up. They follow up 6 months, a year and a half, just to make sure, hey, how's the roof coming? How has the problems that were there before, are they still there? Are they not? Let's talk about it. And then if there's some residual thing that they missed, or which is unlikely but possible, if they miss that, then they go back and then they fix it. Right. I don't know the intricacies of all of that, but that's basically how it was pitched to me. And so how do we convey that? Boom, story time. Okay. We need to be in the point of view of the client. So the client, set the stage here for you, right? Yeah. Okay. Older woman, probably living by herself. We're introduced to her by the rainstorm and all the drops that are coming in from the roof or the ceiling. And then she's got buckets to catch the water, and she sees like, man, this is not it, right? Like, this is a problem. So she calls up the company, right? And then they come in, and then we're seeing what they do. We're seeing them come to the door. We're seeing them give the consultation, explaining to the client like, hey, this is what's wrong, and this is why we need to fix it. Then they do the quote. Then the guys come in. We show the process of all that, and then we return to maybe 6 months later, where she's back in the same room. No more rain, or it's raining, but there's no more drops. Right, the problem is solved. She's reading a book comfortably. She gets a call from them saying like, hey, how is the roof holding up? Hey, how is this going? Like we can show that, and it can be done through comedy. It can be done through pulling the heartstrings of emotion. Like there's any number of ways to go about it. But the big thing is like, how do we make that impression? Can we tell a story that will, one, make people stick around on to the video or to the photos that we're seeing? And will it translate to dollars later on? So that's kind of what I go with for.
I want to look up how long does it take to lose somebody's attention? Because I think that is, and then of course it's redirecting me.
I'm sure it's like seconds, if not milliseconds.
Someone's attention.
It depends on exactly how much time they spend on this, because the more time you spend on this, I find like the quote unquote TikTok generation.
Yeah.
That's brutal, man. I mean,
well, and even whenever you're thinking in terms of LinkedIn and professionals, I mean, I know that most of us didn't grow up with the social media in our hand. That's a little bit of a newer thing. But now that we've been exposed to it for so long, it still impacts you, whether you think about it or not. Your attention span is still changed a little bit. And so, and this is a term, or this is an average that I've heard too. On social media, it takes a very short amount of time to lose attention, often just seconds. Research suggests that viewers need to be engaged within the first 3 seconds of a video to keep their interest. The average attention span is now estimated to be around 8 seconds, influenced by factors like social media consumption, multitasking, and that could probably go in terms of multitasking on different monitors for your business. You've got LinkedIn pulled up, your email pulled up, and you're on a conference call. Or so a lot of different factors go into that, but 3 seconds. So you have 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention. And the story you were describing to me sounds residential roof company. Same thing would apply for any commercial company out there as well. It's the principles here. But to me, that sounds like a commercial. And whenever you're watching a commercial, you just kind of have to watch a commercial. You don't really have a choice. You're watching your show and you got a commercial. So you got to sit through the commercial to get back to your show. And so sometimes they're engaging, sometimes they're not. Social media is a different platform. It's something where you have the choice to sit there and watch the commercial or not. So how would you twist something like that to capture the attention in the first 3 seconds and to make it so that somebody is going to sit there and watch your commercial, so to speak, and not scroll past, even though they have that choice to do so?
You got to have a hook.
So tell me about that.
You gotta have a hook.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Oh, you have to have something within you, like you said, let's use that 3 seconds, right? Something that's going to grab someone by the collar and be like, hey, pay attention to this.
Okay.
Right? And be like, oh, I want to pay attention to this. I want to see where this goes. Right. And that can be done through a number of different ways. That can be done through the first sentence being said in a way that would like provoke folks to feel that way, where it's like, oh, okay, this is attention grabbing, right?
Okay.
Or we could do that through visuals, where it's like a lot of fast cuts, kind of quickly telling a story. I'll use an example that I had on my Instagram. I posted this reel, and the idea was that it was fall was starting to come on, and so then I'm unearthing the jackets from my closet, right? Because it's cold now. I gotta start wearing jackets. So I put the jacket on for the first time in about a year. And so I put my hands in my pockets naturally. In one hand, there's money. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, thanks, past me. And that's all an experience we've had before, right? So it's relatable. Well, hopefully, right?
That would be nice.
Something like that, right? And so then in the other hand, I pull out an old mask from the COVID days, right? And so then the bit is that I remember, and then you have like a Earth, Wind, and Fire's Remember going on in the background, and then it like slowly like devolves, and like I'm just sitting there like remembering Vietnam helicopters, like flashbacks and that sort of thing from that time period. And so that reel ended up doing lifetime 12 million views, because I think it was very shareable. It was very like attention grabbing, where at that first few seconds I'm like quickly explaining like, whoa, it's cold, I've got to get a jacket, and then boom 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 boom, like super fast cuts. I probably had like 7 to 10 cuts within the first 3 seconds alone.
So they're engaged, they're hooked in the story, they want to see what happens.
And then there's also that actual hook with the words, where it says like when that time comes, and I had like some TikTok voice say like the point of view when you do this, or when there's like a prompt kind of thing. So all of those factors combined to end in it being like super relatable. And then also like people like to get argumentative in the comments about like oh, we should still be wearing masks, or we shouldn't be wearing whatever, like they're like just people engaging, right? That's what led to the success of that reel, as far as like getting eyeballs on it. So I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't trying to like be a commercial or anything, but I was trying to tell a story. And I think that story resonated with folks to that point.
And that's, I tell people that all the time, is you don't have to be directly selling in every piece of content that you make for your company.
Please don't. In fact, like I'm begging you, like
Yeah.
We kind of mentioned the phone earlier, where it's like, okay, it's not the best if you're the one taking the photo all the time, but that stuff is important too. Because with social media, the importance is consistency and then being on the platform. The platforms, you're talking about LinkedIn. I mostly do stuff on Instagram and TikTok and that sort of thing. All those platforms want the same thing, and that's keeping people on the platform
because they make money.
Because that's how they make money, right? And so by extension, you can also take share of that attention economy, right? By posting often. And it doesn't always have to be this 10-star, like several $1,000 budget videos, because I'll use this as an example. On TikTok, this musician group, I forgot their name, I'll pull it up at some point, but they have a new single, right? And so as a musician, you're thinking like, oh, we need a killer music video. We don't have MTV anymore like that, right? It's not the 90s where like you put your music video and you're competing for like the coolest visuals or the most dramatic type thing, right? Like it's a different economy. It's a different type of way that we influence people. So now no one cares about your 3-minute full length video. Yeah. I'm sorry to say, unless you already have a following, no one does. Mm-hmm. So this band, what they did was they made 50 to 100 TikToks of just one single static frame of them performing the same hook of the song that they were promoting, but in different environments. So like they're going out to Venice Beach and then they're literally performing. It's just one camera, one shot, the one hook. And there's people like walking around like, what the heck is going on over here? Right. Yeah. And then in the next shot, they're doing the same song, the same 30 seconds on a bridge, or, okay, now they're in a parking garage. Okay. Now the platform is going to reward you because you're posting regularly, you're posting often, you're posting high quality stuff, but also you're doing that shotgun marketing where like, hey, we're doing the same thing. It's all promoting the same product. It's all promoting the same idea. But one of those, you play the lottery long enough and you're going to win at one of those. One of those is going to hit the algorithm the right way. Mm-hmm. The algorithm's going to like, yo, boost this one. And then you've got 40 to 60,000 views on something. And then you play in California or you play on the East Coast. And then all of a sudden, all these people are showing up to your gig, even off of one reel, one of 50.
Yeah.
But, so that speaks to it too. It doesn't always have to be this like super high budget thing. And it also creates realness. Like my job is to create high quality value for your company, for your brand, for whatever. Right. And so I can bring you that high value stuff, but I'm not there on the ground floor every day. That's your people. That's you on there. And then that stuff that you can capture there, that also has a lot of value for folks. So like just, you want to intersperse, because if you just post the same thing all the time, no one's going to care. Right.
Yeah. It's white noise at that point.
Exactly.
And then you don't have people's attention, and then you get downplayed, for lack of a better term, within the algorithms. And so you're just kind of wasting time.
Exactly.
You needed a strategy.
And maybe this sounds like a lot to you. Maybe this is like, man, this is so exhausting. Like social media is its own job, right? And then it is.
Yeah,
it is. It's its own. And some of us, like our smaller creators, our smaller businesses, we have to be able to balance. Okay, here's the client work, here's the taxes, and here's here's the social media, and here's this, and here's the community outreach, all this kind of stuff. It's a balance, but if you play the game right, you can reap those rewards. You can reap those benefits.
Well, and at the end of the day, it is a marketing vessel for your business. So it does sound like a lot, but anything in marketing has always been a lot. When you think about when the websites first came out, there were some people that jumped on board with it, and there's some people that were really hesitant for it. And now fast forward 2025, now everybody's got a website. If your business doesn't have a website, then you're automatically just not credible. You're not going to get business unless you're doing government contracting and stuff like that. But even at that point, you still need to have some kind of credibility. And I'm not a government.
Can I extrapolate on that?
Absolutely.
So and you can also have a website, but if you just fill it up with ChatGPT and you put Midjourney and all these like AI stuff, and you think like, oh, AI is the future. Oh, this is going to take care. Like people see through that so much. Like it's homogenized, man. So like if you put some fake stuff on there, yeah, maybe your average person isn't going to notice, but like folks will over time be like, is this a real thing? Is this a scam? Did you just pay for stock images on your website? That stuff really does come through. And so by taking the extra step, not cutting that corner and saying like, I'm a real business, I have a real product, or I have a real thing that I provide value for folks, and it deserves to be shown in that regard. do the thing, man. Like find your local photographer, find your local videography agency or whomever, right? And then talk to them and negotiate, right? Because there are ways that you can it, it's worth it. I'm trying to tell you, you will reap the benefits of what's real, and people respond to what's real more than they respond to what's fake.
Yeah, because you're being a thought leader. And that is what LinkedIn, that's what social media, that's what business is all about. When you are a thought leader in your industry, people trust you because you're a thought leader. And how do you get people to know that you're a thought leader that don't already trust you? You have to show them. And how are you going to show them on a mass scale? You're going to either be going to events all the time, which is not realistic because as one person or one company trying to be thought leader, that's really hard. And the more people you add, the less authentic it gets. So the easiest, the quickest way to do that is through social media, through your LinkedIn, through really taking the budget and putting it towards your company social media page. So that's just kind of unfortunately how it is today. You know, it's exactly
it doesn't have to be unfortunate. It doesn't have to be unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
Like I know some of us would rather never log into Facebook or Instagram ever again if they didn't have to, right? And that's understandable. These apps, there is a mind numbingness to it where it's like, oh, this is just a platform to sell. This is just sell, and people are like, it's not really social media anymore. It's more, it's just media at this point, right? So there's that part of it. And if you're not jaded on that, it doesn't mean that you have to conform to that. You can offer people what you have without it being this like super consumerism, like, hey, buy my course, or hey, buy this or buy that. Like you can still be genuinely your, I won't say authentic self. I will say like your polished self, which can have levels of authenticity to it. That's why your favorite content creators that you follow, you'll probably notice that as you kind of look at them a little differently. You're like, oh, okay, they understand how to play the game of media, social media, but there's also something genuine about them. Like they make me laugh, or they bring me value in education, or this, that, and the third. And I'm sure Lauren is one of those people, right? So like that's the kind of thing that it can be. It doesn't have to be unfortunate, is what I'm trying to say. Like you can make it to where, because the rules, it's you posting, or
your company,
or your company. Like you're still the one hitting posts at the end of the day, or someone else that you trust is still hitting posts at the end of the day. So it doesn't have to be this like, annoying thing. It doesn't have to be anyway.
No. And it's just, you're right. It's not unfortunate. I think a lot of people that have been in senior executives that have been in their industries, their companies for a long time, they've been doing things a certain way. And this is still really new for a lot of people. For others, like for us, this is just, come on, I'm surprised not everybody's on board with this. I'm surprised not everybody has this education, but it's because we live in this world. For people that don't live in this world, it's still a very scary thing on how is this going to produce ROI for me? How is this going to benefit my business? But at a minimum, you've got your brand awareness, like we were talking about. People know who you are, people trust you, and it's going to come back. It's going to come back in terms of dollars at some point. And it might not be instant gratification, which we're all conditioned to have now with that 3-second attention span, but it will come back. And the people that are taking charge on this now, the companies that are really taking lead on social media and through their videography and investing in locals and working together with the community to get good content, those are the people that are shining brighter. And those are the people that are winning these awards. Those are the people that are out there and making an impact, and your company is getting beat out by them.
That's a great point. I think if you can also utilize your community in that way, I don't know how a lot of your audience works as far as like how ingrained in the community they can or cannot be, but
pretty, because they're businesses.
Okay, that's good. So that's some great value right there. If you can, I'll give you an example. So that same hair salon and that roofing company, I'm now having them collaborate on reels together, to where they don't even really have to do anything. They just have to provide the location and the employees or actors when I need them to be there, so that when we post the story, that they're not directly competing, right? So roofing people and hair cutting like salons, there's maybe a Venn diagram, but they're not taking business away from each other, right? And so by putting them together and into a reel where we can post, we can tag them and invite them to collaborate on Instagram, where it's like, boom, this salon, this company, maybe even a third company that has something to do with it. If you can get all of them on there, the algorithms, the almighty algorithms, they see that and they're like, whoa, that's a winner. boost that one. And so not only are you sharing each other's eyeballs, like your followings, right, if you've been cultivating that, but then you get the benefit of like, wow, these they're connected, they do stuff together, you know, they're friendly, they have fun, they go to the events and that kind of thing. That if you can involve your community, or if you can involve more than just yourself in collaboration, you're gonna win, right? Like you're gonna see the results, and it's all gonna be all buttoned up and beautiful.
It's increasing your social selling score. It's increasing your credibility. That's what it.
Your authority on the subject.
It shows that you do work. And back to your point earlier, when you were talking about the website, it's not that you just paid somebody and AI just wrote everything. It shows that you are real and authentic, and you're actually doing business, and you're doing business with somebody that your prospects might know. And then because you did that in a post, your prospects might be like, oh shit, I know this guy. Oh my gosh, that's a good dude. That's a good company. I want to hear this other guy out. I want to see about the possibility of working with them. So it's the power of connections and networking virtually, online, publicly. And you really have to, in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot less effort than having to go to events.
And it's more than just sponsoring an event and then having your logo on a thing and you're not even there, right? Absolutely. And then like, so that everyone who goes to that event just ignores it, right? Like going out there, being part of the community, like having a chance, see if you can have a chance to speak. I know public speaking isn't everybody's thing, but having your face out there, having your like, I just had an event recently called the Photographer Summit, right? And it was not a big thing. It was just like, hey, I'm having a thing where people can network that are just photographers, that are just videographers, camera operators of any kind. Only 24 people show up. And now we're working on a big project where 24 people are going to all be involved in one thing and have a thing where we all tag each other and get all the eyes on it and everything. And so that by doing stuff like that, I'm not saying you have to do that every day, but like every once in a while, that's going to help you and your company as well. Absolutely.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said sponsorships. There's so many companies that I work with that are just, oh yeah, let's throw $250 at it. Let's throw $1,000 at it. And let's have our logo written on this banner, have our logo written on these cocktail napkins. And yes, that helps as far as visibility, but you can spend significantly less and have your metrics actually track and make a more of a tangible impact whenever you're investing towards something like this.
Why not make it more than a tax write-off, you know? Exactly, like double dip, why not? You know?
This is the modern business. And it's so crazy to me how we're getting there. People are starting to understand this, but this is modern day business in 2030, which is not that far away. It's actually kind of scary. It's pretty close. 2030, the business landscape is going to be so different. This is going to be a conversation of the past, and more people are going to be on board with this. And so it's crazy to think that we're kind of ahead whenever it comes to talking about this subject, but especially in the commercial world, B2B, this is a big conversation.
It'd be really cool. It'd be really cool to see more companies and local business owners doing that kind of thing.
Collaborating. That's what we're doing. Local business owners.
That's true. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So speaking of local business owners, so just we didn't talk about this in my ChatGPT description of JC, but JC is a founder. He is a CEO, entrepreneur. JC is his own thing.
I'm just a guy.
Office space, and he's got clients, and he is out here really making an impact in this community. So if you want to work with JC, feel free to reach out to me or reach out to JC on LinkedIn. He's the go-to guy for videography, photography, if you need headshots or anything for your company to really make it stand out. JC's your guy. Would you mind letting people know where they can learn more about you, how the best way to get in touch with you and learn about what you do?
Yeah. So I have my website, lifemarksmedia.com. We also have all the social medias of @lifemarksmedia. That'll probably be on Instagram and Facebook. Also my personal stuff, which is just @j.c.clunan. That's going to be a lot of where my personal stuff is and where I provide a lot of value as far as like what I do on a daily basis and that sort of thing. I can get my phone number. I don't know if I should put that out there. No, you can find that. You can, it's out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's out there, but we're not going to go down. Well, this has been so phenomenal, JC.
Yeah.
I thank you for coming in and providing these awesome Joe Rogan quality mics. So we'll see how other people. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are these mics better than the ones that we're typically using? I would imagine they probably are.
Hey,
so,
rock and roll.
Well, any final goodbyes? Any final thoughts before we hang it up for the day?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
And thank you for our partnership and for,
Heck
you know,
yeah.
we I don't know if you want to share this, but
Yeah.
we go and walk sometimes because we work
do.
in the same building.
Yes.
And it's kind of crucial for me to be able to, one, be able to talk to someone who knows business stuff and that I can kind of vent to a little bit. And you can vent to me a little bit about your clients. And not that we vent about you guys all the time, but, you know, we need some space for that. Sorry, we're humans. And no, it's been really nice to, you know, foster this relationship, and I really appreciate you for that. And I think you
Absolutely.
do. I think you work really hard, and I think you ought to hear that. And not to glaze you too much, but
thank you.
but thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for our live today. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about, I know it was probably, we're just running circles around this conversation. So if you want to know more, feel free to leave a comment. We can always come back on and explore this topic a little bit more sometime. All right. Well, everybody have a great rest of your day. And until next time,
See ya.
bye.